Hello my YouTubers, thank you for coming to watch my video. So I wanted to do a video on Kurt Cobain's birth chart, okay? And this is for Vedic astrology. I study Vedic astrology, which is a slight bit different than Western, but it is the oldest astrology, and it is a very good match in every chart that I've done. So I just study Vedic astrology, not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but this is my chart that I did on Kurt Cobain. Alright, so Kurt Cobain, most of you know, was a grunge artist that came out, I believe that their first album was in 1987, I think. And when they first came out, it was in a different band, but then in 1991, they released their first album, which was Bleach, which had Teen Spirit on it. And everybody knows Teen Spirit, okay? But with this, I wanted to go over a few things. So as he was born February 20th, 1967 in Albany, Washington at 7:38 p.m. And that's what I got off of the internet, but it seems to be correct. Usually if you don't know the time, you could go by their moon chart, because in Vedic astrology, they really use the moon chart more than your rising sign, okay? But for his rising sign, he is a Leo. And a Leo is about fame, it's about being creative, it is musical, it has these people have this leadership about them where people will follow them. They're also like kingly, okay? That is the throne, okay? So when people have the energy of a Leo, they are very well known, and it's like they walk into a room and it's like everybody notices them, but also people will follow them kind of like they're gods, okay? And he definitely is still well known today and probably will be known forever, okay? But he has his Leo, his ascendant is at 29 degrees in Leo, which is Uttara Falguni, which represents the red one. And this is also a person that has an old soul, and these people are leaders. They are people that's usually happy, they're very successful, and they also are very creative. Now, Leos are they're loyal people. They are really family oriented, and I've heard a lot about him and his family, and he has some other placements in there that kind of throw that off a bit, but I really think that solely he was family oriented, okay? But your soul is the sun, and the sun rules your first house, so he was a very soulful person. And also he was like this person that just was an old soul. It was like when he spoke so wise most of the time. When he had something to say, it was very wise. It seemed like he was an old soul, okay? But he also had a Uranus setting at 29 degrees with his rising. And so Uranus represents kind of like a separation, and a spirituality at the same time, but a separation. So he kind of probably felt separated, not only from himself, because the first house is yourself, but also from his soul. He probably felt a little separated from his soul. And he also had Pluto, which was at 26 degrees, and Pluto just kind of, when I see Pluto, it is kind of like in that house, especially in the first house, it kind of makes a person very odd or very different from others. And we all know that he was a person that really brought out that grunge music, and he did make a big stand in our music, and still, as of today, our music, okay? But he was very different than others. And then his second house would be ruled by Virgo, which he had nothing that set there, but that would represent like his family and how he felt when he was growing up, that his family was towards him, which would be very nitpicky and like he could never do anything enough to please his family. Okay, and then in his third house, which represents traveling, it represents siblings, it represents the creativity, and he had Mars there. So Mars is a warrior, and Mars was at 8 degrees, and so this Mars was very, it was like whenever he figured out that he wanted to do something with his creativity, he probably was very stern and like a warrior with it, okay? Like he had to finish it, or um, that was his creativity. He was very good with creativity, okay? And then he also had K2 that set there, which was at 17 degrees. Now, K2 is a karma planet, but K2, it is setting in Libra. Libra is about being very open-minded. And it's setting in Swati, and Swati is about swaying. It's like the blade of grass that sways, and it's like they are people that can go along with the flow. Wherever the wind blows them, they can go. They can feel comfortable in any situation. They're very easygoing people, and they're very open-minded, okay? Now, Neptune sits in his fourth house. His fourth house represents not alone is at home, but it's also mother. So Neptune, he probably felt a little spiritual towards his mother, but also for his home life, he kind of felt like it was probably a little spiritual, okay? Maybe a little different than others, but he had the spiritual connection to it. That was his feeling to it. And then his fifth house would be Sagittarius, which would be his life with his wife and kids, which he did get married in 92 to Courtney. And then he had his daughter. They had a daughter, and so for her relationship with him, she would probably view the relationship as he has learned from her, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is a teacher, okay? He's like the guru. So she has probably learned from all of his mistakes that he has made, and that was publicized, you know. I'm sure that she still learns from that today. And then his sixth house is ruled by Capricorn, so sometimes he probably was very OCD about his everyday stuff. If he decided to, you know, have that everyday life and like going to work and doing his things, he could have been a little OCD about it. Now, his seventh house represents his love life, his relationships, and his marriage. And he has his sun there, which is, well, his sun is in Shatabisha. And this is in Aquarius. Aquarius is about a very laid-back person, very chill. But these people in Shatabisha, the whole symbol of Shatabisha is a circle with an emptiness inside. And so his soul, he probably felt this emptiness all the time, no matter what. But he probably was very scientifical. He probably liked to learn science, things about science, maybe astronomy, or because it is also called the seeker of the stars. And so for him, he probably was into that scientific stuff, okay? And then he has his Mercury there. So this is probably a person that really is good at connecting to people when he chooses. Also, the with it being in Shatabisha, it could be a separation as well. So he probably did separate himself a lot from other people, but he also always had this emptiness within him. All right, so then his eighth house. Eighth house is like secrets. It is sexual pleasures. It is like occult type stuff. Things that are hidden in life that normal people don't just talk about, like ghosts and astrology and stuff like that. He does have Venus sitting there, and he does have Saturn. And so his Venus and Saturn sitting there could have created, the Venus is the way he liked women, which were women that had the eighth house energy, which also sets in Pisces. So this is a creation. He liked women that probably were into addictions, because Pisces can be somebody that is maybe a little bit of an alcoholic, or they just are addicted. They can be addicted to things that no one sees, okay? This could be a woman that is into kind of the occult type world, where she might be into witchcraft, or she might be into astrology, or she might be into things that are very secret. Rather, whatever it is, it's a secret, okay? So these are the type of women that he attracted into his life. And we all know that Courtney Love was she had a lot of secrets, and she was very different than others. She was also in a grunge band as well, which at that time it was the new thing, but a lot of people weren't doing it, so it was very different. So she was different than others, right? So wherever your Venus sets as well is where you feel the most comfort at in your life. So he felt really comfortable with that eighth house energy and with Pisces. So himself, he probably loved that feeling of addictions, whatever that was, his heroin addict or his alcoholism, whatever it is. He felt comfortable and he felt good when he was high. And we all know he had a heroin problem. But Saturn sitting there is also where you learn the most in life. Kind of like you learn from all your mistakes through Saturn. It's like Saturn is that father, that grandpa that comes along and he says, no siree, you're going to have to learn that lesson again because you didn't learn it the first time. And you have to go through that same thing over and over again until you learn. But that is the grandpa Saturn, okay? And he is about patience, restriction. He is a planet that is very slow. So it would be there he would definitely have that stern knowledge eventually of learning from his mistakes. Now, we go to the ninth house, which is his belief system. He has Rahu there. So, rather, whatever his belief system was, I'm not sure if he was a Christian or if he was a Buddhist or if he was a Catholic or if he was a Muslim or whatever he decided. I'm just making beliefs here. But I'm speaking of whatever that is. It was like he probably felt a connection, but his whole entire life he had to learn between the ninth house and the third house. And the third house is about others, and the eighth house is about religion. And so all the time he was probably fighting the battle. Is there a God? Is there not a God? Is there a God? Is there not a God? Okay? But in this was one of his karmic lessons in life. Now, he also had, because his Rahu is a karmic planet, it does set in Aries. So this creates him having a whole bunch of, wherever Rahu sets you, it magnifies where you're at. So it was in Aries, and it was in Barney. And this is about, Aries is about impatience, quick, fast-paced, not thinking before he does stuff, ADHD. And I heard that when he was a child, he did have ADHD, but he had his Rahu, which expands that Aries energy with which is already that impatient, fast-paced. They walk fast, they talk fast, they do everything fast, okay? But that energy, he had to equal that out between his lazy self and his really fast-paced self, because I view a Libra as kind of like a procrastinator, somebody that waits till the last minute to do things. They think about everything before they do it. And Aries is totally different. Aries is quick about doing things. They're fast-paced. They don't think before they do things most of the time. They just do it. Okay, so those were his Rahu and Ketu karma planets for his life, was learning the difference between that duality of Aries and not Libra. That's what the Rahu and Ketu are. And once you learn in life where your Rahu and Ketu are, you can kind of help yourself figure out what duality you need to work on the most, and that's where we see it, is that Rahu and Ketu. Now, he had his MC, which was in Taurus, and that was in the 10th house, and the 10th house is about career. Taurus is about music. It's about singing. That was somewhere else that he had a lot of energy to learn at in life, and it is in Mekshira, and Mekshira is about searching, always searching for that something and feeling empty inside again, okay? So he was always searching, but these people are always people that have beautiful doe eyes. It's like their eyes are amazing. It's like they're beautiful. But these people are always searching for that something that they are missing, and most of the time they never find it, because that's just part of that that nakshatra setting there. And then in his 11th house is Gemini, and this is his moon. So his moon was a Gemini, which sat in Ardra. Ardra is about the storm. It is about the teardrop. It is people that are very much, it's like they have a deep depression in life, and also they like to go against the grain. In other words, they go against society. They go against the norm, okay? And then this is his moon. So everything, the moon represents your mother, and so his moon setting in Ardra would represent that he goes against the grain towards his mom. So him and his mom probably always had this butting heads. It's like she wanted him to go this way and he'd go this way, right? So he was always probably in a disagreement with his mother always, but he always viewed his mother as a person that was kind of the same. Like, she was always sad, always depressed. She was always in a deep depression. She always was going against the grain, always going against him, but she was very different. She might have been a little maybe more of a tomboy than a girly girl to him, and his father, which is the sun, would have been Shatabisha, and Shatabisha, he would see his father as kind of like he's separated from his father, and he's probably always felt that separation from his father, and he goes against his mother. So his parents and him probably didn't get along too fabulous all the time, but that is how he sees his parents. And then last but not least was his 12th house, and in your 12th house, that it is Saturn. And so with Saturn, not Saturn, it is Cancer, and with Cancer sitting in your 12th house, if you are a Leo, then you have a lot of intuition for a person, because if your 1st, 4th, 8th, and 12th house are water signs, then these are representing that you have this ability to see the other side. Now, Cancer being in, it's the water house, and it's the 12th house, which is representing the other side. This creates a big ability to see things that other people don't see. He could have maybe been very intuitive, known things that other people would be like, how did you know that, you know? But he also had Jupiter there. Jupiter was retrograde, and usually when I see retrograde Jupiter, it's kind of like they're really intelligent people, but yet it's like these people, it's almost like they're so intelligent that they get bored with their intelligence, okay? And it's like sometimes they will do things that are, we as other people would see them and think, now how stupid was that, you know? But this is the kind of planetary placement he had. But Jupiter is the ruler of the 12th house, so it's very comfortable there. And it is about knowledge. It is about the knowledge on the other side. So he probably did some studying about ghosts or some kind of occult type stuff. But this also represents mental hospitals. It does represent jail and separation and isolation. So his Jupiter was there. So he learned actually from being in those places. And we know that he was in rehab. I'm not sure that he was in a mental health, but I mean, he was in a rehab. So we do know that. And so this was his chart. Now, this is Vedic astrology, like I said, which is a wee bit different than Western. But I wanted to say what is different between the Western astrology and the Vedic astrology. The way I see it is that Western astrology, for some reason, calculates with the Earth going straight up in town, and the Vedic astrology goes by the Earth tilted on its axis. And as is a child growing up in going to science class, we learned that the Earth is tilted on its axis. That's why I use the Vedic astrology. And there is so much more to this. I just skimmed over it very quickly. But anyways, this was Kurt Cobain's birth chart for Vedic astrology. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have somebody that has passed away, I don't do live people that are alive still, but somebody that has passed away, and if you want to know their birth chart, please make a comment below and I will get to that. And thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Deuces.